wherever you are in the world. This is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey with you today. Are you ready? Let's talk supply chain. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. Hopefully, my internet is going to hold out. We are having a heat wave here in Toronto, and apparently it's giving me some trouble today. So hopefully you can hear me. If you can't, well, we're going to try to get that fixed. Anyways, my name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I'm the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, the Blended Podcast, and the founder of the Blended Pledge. And I'm super excited to be here with you today, back in my home studio with my trade bestie, Audrey Ross, and we've got lots to share with you today. We've got a besties trip coming up and all sorts of things. So before we do that, let's hear from our show sponsor. So are you ready to find your people? If you are struggling to find a supply chain community of like-minded professionals where you can level up, network, learn about best practices from experts in supply chain, professional development, and marketing, look no further. We created the Secret Society of Supply Chain to provide a safe space, a community for everyone in the industry. We offer unique opportunities for everyone to connect and grow in 3 distinct value-packed communities: the Supply Chainers, Women in Supply Chain, and the Creative Room. From the learn at your own pace, content-rich approach of the Supply Chainers to the empowering community-focused space of Women in Supply Chain and the marketing mastermind of the Creative Room, we mean it when we say there's truly a place for everyone. So head over to secretsocietyofsupplychain.com to explore which community was made for you. Now, we want to hear from everybody. I want to hear where you are tuning in from. And obviously participate, ask some questions. We'd love to hear from you. All right, let's get into what is new with Let's Talk Supply Chain. So we've got a brand new episode. It's episode 412, which is maximize warehouse efficiency and profitability with CargoWise. Now, Martin from CargoWise and Graham from AWA Logistics joined me for this one. And we were talking about warehousing. We were talking about inventory. We were talking a little bit about e-commerce as well. So you want to check this out if you're looking to take your warehouse to the next level. If you're looking to figure out your inventory within your supply chain, check that out wherever you listen to the show. It's also on the Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube channel as well. Now, tomorrow morning, I don't know what you're doing at 10 a.m. Eastern, but hopefully you're tuning into Supply Chain Unfiltered, which is hosted by the amazing Christine Barnhart. And she's talking about how to hack your supply chain for the modern world. Now, you're not going to want to miss this one. So even if you can't attend live, make sure you click that register or attend button, and we will send you the recording afterwards so that you can check it out. What else have we got? We've got our newsletter. I don't know if you've seen this. I don't know if you've signed up, but we have a LinkedIn Let's Talk Supply Chain newsletter over on our LinkedIn page. And this comes out every single Friday with all sorts of news. You can see last Friday, we were talking about the Canada border strike alert and what you need to know. So go and sign up for that if you have not signed up for it, and stay in the know of what's happening in the industry. What else have we got going on? Oh, I wanted to show this meme, but I'm going to wait till Audrey comes up because I think this has to do with what she is dealing with in supply chain. But before we bring her up, I just want to give a shout out to Susan Walsh. I got my little Susan in the mail, and I just want to say thank you. I mean, it's so cute. It reminds me totally of Susan Walsh. She is the classification guru if you don't know her, so go and check her out on LinkedIn. So shout out to Susan Walsh and my little Susan. All right. Oops. Just drop that. Okay, let's bring Audrey up. Good morning, Audrey. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing okay. Getting a little hot over here. What do you think?
Oh, it's a little hot. It's too much for me. It's
Too
a
much?
little too much. I don't know. You feel like as a Canadian, like, you like the hot weather, but it's,
Or we're complaining
you
about
like
the
the hot
cold.
weather when you're by a pool, right? You don't like the hot weather when you're trying to drive to work and it's a tropical downpour and it's so hot and everything's humid and your hair's like this. So, yeah.
Well, I'd rather this than snow any day. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Oh, one of the other things I forgot to mention is that we've got a brand new blended episode coming out on Wednesday.
Oh,
So stay tuned for that. We're going to put that on my personal LinkedIn as well as the Blended Pledge LinkedIn page. And this episode is about equal pay transparency. You're not going to want to miss that one.
oh,
We get into all sorts of things
yeah.
on that episode. Now, I wanted to share this meme while you are here. I'll get you to introduce yourself in a minute. But we posted this the other day. How are you feeling after all the supply chain disruptions? What did you think about this? I mean, his eyes, first of all.
It cracked me
Then
up because it's twofold. Either it's the bags from being so tired because you're all the time talking all these different time zones, or it does feel like you've been punched in the face. Yeah.
but also, I mean, the fact that he's got, I don't know, French toast or pancakes,
Got a
I
little,
was
little
like,
waffle
who's
going
got
on, a little
time for
pancake.
that? Who's got time for that in the weekday? I mean, at least
He
he's
has
got
a
coffee.
very good boundaries and routine over there. He's able to eat a meal at the proper time.
Well, who knows? I mean, if anything, this could be at like 6 o'clock at night, especially in the summer now with like light going till 9
There's
o'clock.
that. There's that. Oh, I forgot to eat lunch. I guess I'll have my pancakes at 3.
All right. For anybody who doesn't know who you are, why don't you let everybody know who you are?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Audrey Ross. I'm based in Toronto. I what do I do? What do I spend my time on? International trade. So logistics, customs, VAT tax as a non-resident importer. Right now we're doing an audit around, traceability and supply chain. And my
Nobody
biggest,
talking about that.
yeah,
Wow.
it's a thing. It's a thing. And you got to write it down. Don't just try and do it. Also document it.
Did you have to do it twice?
Hint. Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. So, and then what else to do? This year I'm the OIT Toronto president, so the Organization of Women in International Trade. We had a great event last week. We're about to bring on some more board members. So that's keeping me quite busy. And then of course we've got our blended pledge, which lots of things are always happening with blended pledge. One, because you have lots of great ideas, and two, because again, we have a really great board for that. So we're really, really lucky with the board that we have there. So yeah, keep them busy.
Do you see why I keep her around? She's like, "You've always got great ideas." Thank you. I need to hear that every once in a while. But as you can see, both of us need a little bit of downtime.
We do.
And
Yeah, you
so
can't
this
skip that.
weekend, we are so lucky. We are going on a besties trip to Colorado. Excuse me. To Colorado, and we're going to go see one of our largest private donors for Blended Pledge and spend some time at a cabin. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a little cold.
Really?
Not sure. I mean, she said 45 to 75 degrees. That's a little cold.
I know, but it's in Fahrenheit. So it's sort of, you're like, is that? I don't really understand what that is. So I was like, I'll just pack a hoodie. I've got my tube. It'll be fine.
Layers.
My mom
Layers.
said that. She's like 45. And I was like, you're thinking Celsius. I'm like, no, it seems like it'll be cool. I think 45 is chilly.
It's going to be a little cool. Anyways, we definitely need this downtime, and we're looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah. No screens, hey? Like, I'm not bringing a laptop.
What?
I know.
Okay, I'm going to bring mine, but
Okay.
only as a just in case. I think
Okay,
we're
but
gonna
don't let me
hiking,
borrow it.
some hiking, some kayak. No, you're not allowed to borrow it. No, nobody's allowed to touch my laptop. All right, let's get to, where are we even at? I don't even know what we're doing.
Poll? Did we do poll?
Poll. We haven't done the poll yet. Okay, let's do the poll of the week. So this one was a fun one. We had over 400 votes for this one. Which animal would make the best mascot for a supply chain team? So I'm a little surprised. So first of all, I don't know where my team got these options from.
Yeah.
The fact that they put the animal and then the reason behind the animal was brilliant, I think, because honestly, I wouldn't look at Ant and be like, we're going to get 43% of the votes. But when you put teamwork beside it, I was like, oh, okay. So 43% said Ant, 27% said eagle, 17% said dolphin, and 13% said cheetah. What did you pick?
I picked cheetah.
You did. Okay.
Yeah.
We got to be quick on our
supply chain. Yeah, like agile, fast, like,
Mm-hmm.
Although it was tough because I did think because ants are incredible when you start to look into them, and like they can carry, like 4 of them could carry like a chair, They really put their back into it and work together, and they clearly have good communication skills and like organizing, and they're very prepared. So I mean, that's representative.
I
It'd
didn't
be
realize.
interesting I think in human culture, it'd be interesting if someone came out with a supply chain company and had the ant like as a prominent logo, because it's such a thing where it's mostly, like a pest control company has an
Yeah,
ant, but like with the accent.
that is
So it'd be
very
an interesting
true.
branding.
I should probably have put that as the branding for Secret Society of Supply Chain, not gonna lie. So Mark said African wild dog. He didn't say
Nice.
why though. So not
Okay.
entirely sure why that is a possibility. Angela said flying reindeer. Now there is no reasoning behind that one either. So
But
I'm a little curious.
we know how involved reindeer are in the holiday supply chain. So I mean
No,
that
that's
could be
true.
one.
That is very true. Josh says rhino. I mean, I like rhinos. I'm
Yeah.
not sure why that
Yeah.
one
Sturdy, reliable, tough. You know.
You are like the animal whisperer today. Jennifer said, "How about all of them working together?" I think that is probably the best answer to all of that. We should have had an option, all of the above.
Yeah. Well, maybe African wild dog epitomizes all of those four. Maybe
You
that's
think so?
why
Maybe.
our commenter suggested it. We'll
So I
have to
would
look into
like to
further.
hear from Josh, Angela, and Mark as to the reasoning behind your options, the
Yeah.
additional options that you provided in the comments. But thanks so much to everybody who weighed in on the poll of the week. I want to say hi to Amrit over on my personal LinkedIn, and whoever's watching, we want to hear from you. Put in the comments where you're watching from, because we'd love to know. Now is the time for the market update. Are you ready? I mean, you've got lots going on. You already mentioned the audit. What do people need to know? I'm going to throw something in there before you start, though.
Yeah, do
So
that.
I heard that recently Brampton has put in some X-rays. So Brampton, Ontario, so in
Yep.
Canada, they've just, I don't know if it's just Brampton or Ontario or the federal government have just put some money into some X-rays, and they are
Mhm.
going to start X-raying all the containers that are leaving the country because of how much auto theft that we have here in Canada to stop the auto theft. So
So
I think
the
that's pretty
the
interesting.
yeah, I think it was the federal representative in like Ghana was like, Canada, you need to get a hold of these autos. Like they're turning up here in droves. So yeah, so that's probably a federal program. I hadn't heard that, but that's a good tactic because
I
yeah,
thought so.
we x-ray what's coming in. We should know what's going out. You're supposed to be documenting these things. There is an export process. So
Oh,
paperwork and that is supposed to be done.
so Bruce over on my personal LinkedIn says rhinos have thick skin. That's why they
Oh,
pick
that's
rhinos.
why.
That's a good one, Bruce.
That's
And then
why.
we've got Brandon watching from New York City and Amrit's watching from Mississauga. Thank you guys for watching us.
Nice.
All right, why don't you give us a bit of a market update? What's happening? What do
Yeah,
people
for
need to know?
sure. Okay, I mean, along the lines of infrastructure, we had the new bridge that's going in Windsor.
Yes.
So they've got I guess, the enough of a crossbar that two workers from either side of the bridge could shake hands. So that
Oh,
happened
that's cool.
just the other day. So I'll try and find an article for you on that. So that's exciting because that adds another kind of bridge option to improve the transport corridors between Canada and the US. So if you're here in North America and you ship between our two countries, then that's a great addition. What else? I mean, Lars obviously has the hot updates on what's happening in the Red Sea crisis. Stephanie Loomis had some really great commentary on what the pricing is like. Right now, I just saw a $10,000 container going into Europe, so not unexpected. We'd heard that was going to happen. So we've got a June 14th. We had a price shift, so they added in another GRI, and we're expecting another one July 1st. So we'll see.
Wow.
It hasn't been easy to get space. We're seeing too, if you do book space and then you cancel, there's now cancellation fees are, kind of being held, and or enforced. So yeah, the Panama Canal is up to 36, I think 36 vessels a week. So back almost to full normal, which was about 38 vessels per week.
Wow.
Although if you're like me, you're a little nervous. I did tell a team who has some items that are going into New York later in September, October. I was like, well, we'll see, because it was a drought situation. So if they run into a dry September, October, then the situation could sort of happen again. So we
Right.
want to be mindful of that. And still on the table, the CBSA, I think that has been resolved. for the moment. So there's no strike action at this
Oh,
point.
that's right.
They're at the table. So it's good. The rail strike is still on pause. I think the review comes in next week. So it went to a federal committee here in Canada. So that was both CP and CN were potentially on strike. That's still has a potential, but it's fairly low risk at this point because no one wants that to happen. Like I'll quit. Like there's no point. There's no point shipping into Canada if you have no rail.
Well, let's
So
hope not, because I've got a
yeah.
big announcement coming up with a
Yeah. So
CPKC here in
they should
Toronto,
be,
and so
they'll sort it out. They'll sort it out. Give
I'm
them what they
hoping they're
want.
gonna sort it out.
Safety first, let's go. And then the ILA, of course, on the East Coast, you can't have a market update without kind of mentioning that. It is kind of a negotiation. I think their contract is end of September, beginning of October. I've been watching the Journal of Commerce for details on that. They really have the inside eye on that. So oh, never boring, Sarah. It's never boring
Just
over here.
like the meme that we just showed, the supply chain
Exactly.
disruptions. Well, that's such a great market update, and a lot of things to sort of think about and take a look at, keep an eye on, but also the resources, right? Follow Lars, follow Stephanie, follow Journal
Yeah.
of Commerce, because they're always
Commerce.
coming out with some good
Follow
options.
your stuff. Like,
Oh yeah,
stay covered.
I mean, follow Let's Talk Supply Chain. That'd be
Follow
great too.
supply chain.
Join us for Thoughts and Coffee. All right. So let's get to our first article. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard about 321. It's something that actually we have a whole podcast episode coming out on Monday with one of the experts in Section 321. SCI out of Canada. They are heavily into this. They are doing it very well, and they've been doing it for a while now. So if you are a retail brand, you're definitely going to want to tune into the podcast on Monday to learn more about it. Now, one of the reasons why you want to learn more about it is because recently there has been some suspension. So there have been some forwarders and some brokers who have been suspended due to a variety of reasons, but the US Customs, they're tightening the enforcement on low value e-commerce trade. Now, if you're not up to date on this, what they did back, I think in 2016, they allowed $800 worth of merchandise a day with no duties and taxes to flow into the US. But what they didn't realize was the sheer volume of these shipments that would be coming into the US. And of course, they don't have enough resources to keep going through everything to make sure that that there are no suspicious packages, things that aren't supposed to be coming into the US aren't coming in. And just to put it into perspective, there is 4 million shipments a day that are coming in under $800. And that volume increased from 134 million in 2015 to 1 billion in 2023, and it's only going to go up. So I'm going to stop there because I've got a few more stats that I want to throw out there, but I want to hear from you and what you kind of thought about this, because you are moving goods, globally, but also between Canada and the US. What did you think about this article? It's fairly lengthy. It goes into a lot of great detail, so I would highly recommend going to read it.
Yeah, if you're doing any package shipping, so this kind of highlights low value e-commerce, and there's a whole segment of our business that is that. But even your just packages back and forth, if you're sending samples, production approvals, sales samples to customers and things like that cross border. So the $800, that's something we call is technically called de minimis. And so most countries don't have that high of a de minimis. Like if you're in Canada, it's $20 Canadian. So that's why all Canadians are so aggravated by e-commerce, because they see American influencers on social and they get all these packages, and Canadians you see Canadian influencers on social, like learning about how customs works because it's so aggressive, our de minimis. And Europe has the same. It's 20 euro is your de minimis, right? And I think the UK in pounds.
Can I just interrupt there? I have been sent gifts in the past, which I love, and I am so appreciative.
Yeah.
But if you don't write gift on it and it's valued at more than $20, I end up spending GSTs and duties. But now they've added a handling fee. So the last one was like $14. And all it was it was some promotional items that I was sent from somebody, which I totally appreciated. But just so you know what Audrey is talking about around influencers, if you're sending product to people in Canada, this is our reality.
And there's some definite workarounds. Like people get postal boxes in Buffalo and drive down once a month and pick up their packages if you're a Canadian. So, which I probably shouldn't have said on the internet, but it's there now. But it's the same with these e-commerce rules. So a lot of companies took advantage of this e-commerce rule, and it's just keeps expanding. And every time I hear about it, I'm like, is that within, like,
Right.
is that appropriate, or is that, I feel it's sort of borderline, but you have lots of experts who are doing it. So what I've heard, not that I'm doing it, what I've heard is that there are shipments that are going from China into Mexico. They are packed as individual packages, or no, I guess they're repacked. So they come in bulk to Mexico, they're packaged, and then they're brought across the border. And then that's considered, and it's packaged individually for the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's considered an under 850 import.
Yeah.
Because all of the packages in the truck are
one shipment
package going to one customer, because e-commerce, right? You're not delivering to one DC, right?
Yeah.
Where all of those would be charged going to one location. Those 800, 900, 1,000 packages.
We need this besties trip. And coffee.
Are going to all these different people. So you're allowed to play with this de minimis rule. So I'm certainly not the expert, but I mean, there's definitely, you have customs brokers in the US who are superb experts on this. I can recommend some of them to you, but it is a hot item. So the US did do this kind of in 2016. And then now when it's kind of, they're doing audits, and they've been doing an overall review on how they're treating imports, especially from China, right? There's the scrutiny on China is ever present. But they're doing this kind of, this audit review on, like, well, how many packages do we have? Who's enforcing this? What if there's, how are we protecting our citizens and borders, which is not a bad thing. But it does mean that you want to be paying attention, and you do want to make sure, like, you are talking to a licensed customs broker who has not someone who popped up 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not one of those, like, popped up 3 weeks ago and hasn't, like, someone who's been doing this for a while, has like a trade compliance lawyer on staff, and is really, really understands how this
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, and that is so true. So I would highly recommend listening to the podcast episode that we've got coming out on Monday, because we go into all sorts of details about this. But if you're a retailer and you are crossing borders, even if you're not and you're in the US and you want to move goods through Canada, that is a great option. But again, you need to work with somebody that knows what they're talking about. All right. So our second article is actually an interview. It's an interview that I did with EU Automation. And I was very lucky for them to decide to feature me in this article, talk a little bit about my journey, talk about how I'm seeing things when it comes to supply chain technology, AI, IoT. I talk to a lot of different people. And so I wanted to bring sort of all of that information into an article with EU Automation. And so I don't know if you had a chance to read this, but I would highly recommend, if anybody wants to understand some of the information that I'm receiving on a regular basis around these technologies and how you can use them, how they're going to be useful in supply chain, to go and check out this article. We won't spend, too much time on it, but Audrey, what did you think of this?
No, I thought it was great, because I think people, you have access to Let's Talk Supply Chain and this brand constantly, and you're interviewing individual companies. So if someone tunes into something, it's sort of, okay, you're getting this sort of one-on-one experience. But I think what's great about doing an interview like this is we get the bird's eye view from you on the scope of all of the individual companies that you've been interviewing and that you spend time with and that you talk to. So then we get that perspective on sort of, the trends that you're seeing, or the commonalities, or the what to watch out for, because you're really in the know on that. So I think it's a good one. Because if people, people are busy, people are, so if you can't hit every single, this will give you that arc. So
yeah, so we're going to put the link in the comments to that. So go ahead, check that out. I would love to hear your thoughts. Send me a DM, comment. We've posted it on our LinkedIn and everything like that. So would love to hear from you all on that one. All right.
Yeah. See if people agree or disagree, right? It's like, it's always interesting to know, like, are we seeing the same things in the market? Is the perspective different? Like, what's happening?
Well, and let's start a dialogue around it, right? I'm sharing some perspectives that I've heard through interviews and different things like that I've done. One of the things that people might be surprised at is that I do mention blockchain. Now, I don't
Mm,
know a ton about blockchain. I have
mhm,
interviewed a few people around blockchain when it first came out recently because people are really thinking that there's an emergence around blockchain. We have been
mhm,
posting a little bit more about it. One of the reasons why is because of the collaboration opportunities. Everybody knows that I talk about collaboration being the future of
yeah.
business. And I feel like, hopefully it could sort of bridge the gap and bring the community together in a collaborative
Mhm,
way. So
mhm,
just to give everybody a little bit of an overview as to why that was one of my choices when I did talk about technology. All right, let's
mhm.
talk about our last article. So I thought this was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
You deal in dangerous goods,
just
and
a
I
little
don't
bit.
know
I
I don't know if
dabble.
I don't know if everybody understands dangerous goods. I mean, obviously, in the word dangerous goods, it means that you're shipping goods that are dangerous. Now, there's a
Mhm,
variety of ways that cargo is dangerous, and actually, I was surprised by some of the things on this list. And so that's why I wanted to share it with everybody, because you may or may not know as to what you're shipping. And I don't mean supply chain professionals that ship these goods on a regular basis, because you would know.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
almost mean like people shipping goods in e-commerce packages potentially, or shipping something to your friend, understanding what's dangerous and could harm people. And the other reason too is we don't talk about seafarers enough. So seafarers are on the boats with all of the containers, and we want to make sure that we keep them safe while they're on those boats. They have a lot of things to contend with. They don't need to contend with reactive spillage, leakage, and improper handling. So let's go through some of
Yeah.
this. So some of the reactive hazards: charcoal, calcium hypochlorite, chlorite, whatever, batteries, cotton, and wool. Now
Yeah.
that one surprised me. Did that surprise you?
No,
Okay, why?
because yeah, because they're in the list of things that I see when I'm looking at my list of things.
Okay, I mean you're
But
in
they're
the
very flammable.
fish meal and krill seed cake. I don't know what seed cake is. I'd have to look that up. If anybody in the
Dangerous.
audience
That's
that's
what it
watching
is.
knows
Sarah.
what? What?
Dangerous.
Okay, fair. So spill or leak risks.
Yeah.
So one of the things on here is wine. I mean, I
Mhm.
guess because there's alcohol in it, but cocoa butter? Why cocoa
Uh,
butter? Do
Greasy
you have
gets
any?
in everything. Melts. Flammable.
Okay. Interesting. Improper packing consequences: logs and timber, steel coils. Okay, marble and granite. I mean,
Yeah, like if
obviously
that
those
stuff
are
falls
heavy.
on you, it's heavy, it breaks. It's
Yeah. So what did you think about this? I mean, I'm sure you've got a lot that you can add to it. I mean, you deal in
yeah.
dangerous goods, but what you deal in dangerous goods, I believe, is nail polish.
Nail polish, brush cleaners, room sprays, anything with alcohol in it. So a lot of cosmetics, you have to watch with if you're doing a toner,
Okay.
like a face toner. Face toner is usually has some sort of alcohol base to it. So
Mhm.
anything with alcohol, and then nail polish has acetone. Oh, and the other thing is we do these texturizing sprays, like hair texturizing sprays, and a lot of
Mhm.
those are an aerosol.
Mhm.
So those are
So
also combustible.
so is that like the dry shampoo? Because I always
Dry
wonder, like,
shampoos,
can I
yeah,
travel
yeah.
with dry shampoo,
No,
or
not
like,
unless it's in your suitcase.
okay, so it can be in
Yeah,
the suitcase though.
yeah, yeah.
Got it.
Because when you have to, it's factoring out the risk. So is the individual product it's combustible? If you're in your home and you leave it next to a heat source, it'll blow. That's not going to be great. If it's nail polish and it's flammable, what would make it flammable? If it's one bottle and it's sitting on your counter and you knock it over, you would have to like introduce a lighter and
Right.
or a match or something to. But then you have to take it bigger, right? So what's the context when you're in transportation? If a bunch of nail polish, if you're a truck full of nail polish and you get into an accident, everything breaks and there's engine food because there's an accident and there's flame. So then it will go, it will set on fire. So it's all about risk. Really specifically, they're designed around protecting the person transporting it. So the truck driver, the seafarer, right? So it's really important in ocean that we declare these things. And so a company, I tend to be a very compliant person. I declare it. It's very clear what we're shipping. We have the ingredients, we have the labeling, we know what country we're going into. We follow those labeling rules. Things meet the standard, and I have the documentation to back that up. We did see a period flammable dangerous goods do tend to have a little surcharge to them.
Right.
That's reasonable. It's dangerous. So, but people do try to skirt that surcharge and try to not declare it.
Mhm.
Those things get onto vessels. The vessel has some sort of an accident. They pack those vessels based on what's going to, what is reactive to water. Well, we're not going to put that on the side closest to the
Right.
water, right? What if it gets bumped, is going to set on fire? What is going to explode? What is going to leak? So they're very, that proper handling, like that's their whole gig, right? Is
Yeah.
understanding proper handling and packing themselves accordingly. If you don't tell them what it is,
Yeah. It
then
can
you're
cause all
contributing to
sorts of
that
problems.
danger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a
Absolutely.
problem to ship dangerous goods. We do it. Everybody does it, as long as you know what you're declaring what you're doing so that they can help you, and you just pay the
Yeah.
surcharge.
And it's such an important topic, and I don't think we talk
It
about it
is.
enough. All right.
And people
We
don't
do
realize. Yeah.
We do have to wind down. Again, Supply Chain Unfiltered with Christine Barnhart is happening tomorrow morning on this channel at 10 a.m. Eastern. You're not going to want to miss that one. Click the attend, click the registration button. Nominations for Women in Supply Chain Award. They've extended it to this Friday. So head over to the registration link in the comments and make sure that you nominate a woman in supply chain today. Well, that's it for us this week. We will not be back next week because we are taking our little besties trip, but
Traveling.
we'll be able to talk all about that, or I'll talk about that on July 2nd. I'm actually going to be coming back with Patricia from Sourcing Network, and we're going to be talking about forced labor. Now, U.S. Customs is stopping shipments if you do not have that traceability aspect that Audrey was talking about. They are not letting it in the country. So you need to know where your goods are coming in from, materials, who is a part of that process, because your cargo will get stopped. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing week ahead, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Ciao.